Hello there, sports gamers. Welcome on back into the channel. I'm Brandon Satterwhite, and I am very excited to be joined today by Lindsay Barnett. She is the CEO of Playground Productions, aka the team that has brought backyard sports back and has been doing so much work with this incredible franchise. And there's just been so much going on. Lindsay, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me.
So I've listened to you talk in several interviews about the story of how, Playground Productions kind of came about and how y'all got the rights to the Backyard Sports franchise. Can you tell our audience just a little bit about that story? Because I mean, it is so crazy of a story. It could be its own movie, it seems.
Yeah, well, I had studied film and animation, and you can even probably tell from my background how much the Peanuts had meant to me. I just always was inspired by animation and storytelling, and the backyard sports games were my favorite games as a little kid. And during COVID, I was actually a second grade teacher. I taught elementary school for 8 years, and I was trying to find really great content to recommend for my students at home. And the games that they were playing were really violent, and the programs that they were watching on TV were definitely not the same kinds of programs that I was watching when I was their age. And so I went back to my childhood and really started to think about, the stuff I grew up on. And I just was like, what happened to the backyard sports franchise? Those were the best games ever. And they were so accessible. Anybody could play those games. And so when I saw that they were nowhere to be found, I went on a real wild goose chase and, as a board teacher would do, hired a private investigator to track the rights down and wound up doing that. And then 2.5 years later, was able to acquire the rights to the brand.
It's really an incredible story. And you talked about how, you were a huge fan of the series growing up, just like I
Yeah.
was. What sort of impact did the series have on you growing up? And are there any like specific memories you have of playing them when you were a kid?
Yeah, so the series meant a lot to me. The first game, Backyard Baseball, 1997, came out when I was just a 5-year-old, and it really got me to love baseball. And then I fell in love with the whole franchise because the characters were so funny, and I just really liked their personalities. And this was the only game franchise, especially sports game franchise, that ever had equal representation of boys and girls in the games. And as a little girl who loved sports, that meant a lot to me because I was very inspired and also had seen, like, hey, there are great girls in this game. I could go outside in my own backyard and play with my brother and cousins, and the sky was the limit in terms of what I was able to play, and no one was stopping me. And I did wind up playing, baseball. I wound up playing on the co-ed flag football team in my community. I played basketball. And so I just played a whole bunch of sports. And I think this game had a lot to do with it.
So one thing I always love asking video game developers, when the day that you guys released Backyard Baseball 97 onto Steam for the first time, what were the vibes like in the office that day?
Well, the first thing that was kind of crazy was we don't have any source code to the original games. So when we acquired the rights, we didn't think that any of that would be possible. So it was a little bit as a fan service, like, let's get this back so that fans can, play again and re-experience this as we work to build a brand new backyard baseball title. And it just absolutely blew my mind. I mean, it became the number one sports game on Steam and immediately was a massive hit where it wasn't just the original fans coming back, it was new people discovering this and new fans that were the kids of the millennials who weren't even born when these games originally came out. So it just exceeded my expectations in every single way and has gotten me so excited about, the future of the brand.
Yeah, and you've released not just Backyard Baseball 97, but a lot of those classic backyard sports games, and not just on Steam, but also on mobile and on console. The original games were all about, accessibility to the point
Yeah.
where the version I played growing up, I got out of a cereal box.
Yeah.
Uh, so was that something that was very important to y'all when y'all were able to bring it back, that you did want to bring it to mobile and console as well to try and get as many people access to it as you could?
Yeah, I wanted to get this everywhere. I mean, of course, that's much easier for me to say, the person who is not programming the games, to be like, let's put it everywhere. And they're like, well, we have real limitations to do this without source code. But I just said, let's try to get this in as many places as possible, because I really did want it to be accessible and anybody who loves backyard to be able to play it. Those were what I really feel like the core of the original franchise was all about, not just accessibility of play, but accessibility of characters and being able to see yourself in the brand. And I felt like the more places that you could have it available, the more people were going to discover this incredible brand and the incredible characters.
And one thing I really appreciate about that is that even when you were porting it to these new systems, it was very faithful to the original. I got to review the mobile version of Backyard Baseball 97 when it came out, and it was the first game that Sports Gamers Online has ever given a 10 out of 10 to, because it
Let's
wasn't
go.
like it wasn't like any other mobile game. No
Yeah.
ads, no
Yeah.
microtransactions, you don't need an internet connection. Like, how important was it to you to keep this, very consumer friendly and very faithful to how those games were back then?
Yeah, I mean, I think that look, I know that having having the lockbox where you'd have to buy Pablo Sanchez is probably a better financial decision, but it's not true to what the spirit of the backyard is, which is that the game that you buy should be able to take you through all of the fun that you want to experience in it. And you should be able to win. You don't need to buy anything more to win. And I just really believed in that. And I think, some of these decisions I really credit being a teacher with. Like, I saw I taught over 300 kids, and I saw, how video games were kind of like taking advantage of them, and that they were having to ask for Christmas money to buy the thing to win the game. And I just never liked that, never sat well with me. And so I just really felt like the core game should be able to take you through the full experience. And that's not to say that, DLCs and exciting other additions can be added as a fun new experience, expansion packs, but the core game should always be the thing that, like, you don't need to buy anything more in order to win or have a great time.
Definitely. And it's like y'all have done a great job with the games, but it's not just the games that y'all are doing. Y'all, about a month ago now, released an amazing animated special on your YouTube channel, which
Thank
I
you.
think now sits at over 1 million views. Am I correct?
That's right. It has exceeded our expectations in every way. We had set out to get 500,000 views by the time our new game launches in July. That was our goal as a team. And we wound up hitting 1 million views in 3 weeks. And again, with just incredible, like, ratings and like love for it. People are like going on and reviewing it with such high praise because of the faithfulness. And if there's anything that people can take away, I really hope that it's, how much love and care we have for this brand. And it just means so much to us because we are original fans, and we want to provide, the modern era with these games in the most faithful and, right form.
And one thing I didn't realize until I listened to one of your interviews you did at the Super Bowl, you made a little cameo within that special. So what was
Oh
it like
yeah.
getting to voice some of these characters, and how long have you been working on those voices?
Well, probably my whole life I've been working on those voices. Ever since I was, had stuffed animals on my bed and was like doing voices for them or playing with action figures. But I mean, when I got the first computer game in 1997, I was mimicking the characters, and I feel like I could do, so many of the different characters' voices, and I think it really speaks to the original franchise of like they made incredible catchphrases and funny lines that were memorable. And it's one of the things that really stands out. It's like people use this in their like everyday vernacular, and they don't even know that's from the original backyard games. And I love that, and I think that was like became a part of everybody's playground or backyard experience was just these lines.
Yeah, and then outside of the anime especially, you also have this really cool partnership with Wilson where they're using the
Yeah.
characters and the license on different equipment and athletic gear. Can you tell me a little bit about how that partnership came to be?
Yeah, I mean, we are a Chicago-based production company, and so is Wilson. And it was just top of the list of premium athletic gear. I mean, I've been using Wilson products for my entire life, and you have the kind of vision board of where you want your brand to live and who you want to partner with. And Wilson was on the top of that list. I mean, I used a Louisville Slugger bat and Wilson gear when I was a little kid, and it just the current people who are running the baseball division and the marketing are original fans of Backyard, and so
Mhm.
that really was like they got it. They saw we were coming back and we're like we want to do something big with you guys, and we totally get where you guys are going. So it's really an amazing thing, and it's such a crazy part of relaunching the Backyard brand. Now the original fans who grew up are in positions where they can like do super cool things with Backyard in their own jobs and professions.
Yeah, and then there's also been several pictures over the last couple of years of professional athletes wearing backyard sports
Yeah.
gear or using different backyard sports gear. Are there any examples of that that stand out to you?
I mean, first of all, every single time a pro athlete talks about our brand, uses our brand, it still like baffles me. I mean, it actually makes a ton of sense. They grew up with these games and Pablo Sanchez or Pete Wheeler, Keisha, they mean something to them. Um, a couple of times that really stick out though. The Kelseys went on their podcast and talked about how backyard baseball and football were their favorite games when they were kids. Um, Bobby Witt Jr. He used a Pablo Sanchez bat during Players Weekend. He was the only player to use this bat, and of course, hit an absolute home, like super super far home run. And he was like, this is magic. Like this bat is magic. Pablo is magic. And we started calling him Pablo Sanchez because it just was like an incredible thing. Like he was like, oh, Pablo has caused me to do this. Um, Mookie Betts has been wearing I started seeing Mookie wear this Pablo Sanchez hat during right around when he was in the World Series 2 years ago, and he brought it back. And I'm like, I think this is his lucky hat that he's wearing, and he keeps winning with this Pablo hat. I mean, one after another, it's just like an incredible thing to see these guys like rock with our brand.
And so probably the biggest news for the franchise just dropped a couple of days ago with the first teaser trailer for the new backyard baseball game that will be coming out this July. It looks amazing, a cool mix of the 2D and 3D animation. You see several, Easter eggs like the metal bat, the fireball, all that. How are you feeling with the reception to the trailer so far?
I am feeling so good. I'm feeling so great to be able to like actually talk about this. To keep this as a secret for 2 years basically has been very hard for me. And I really wanted something that paid homage to the original brand, which had that 2D style, and also wanted something that was modernized so that it could play so well on the devices and that people have, and also just be able to do things that you couldn't do in 2D. And so I'm really excited about the nice mix that it has of 2D and 3D. And I really thought that the brand has never done a true faithful representation of these characters in a 3D format. And we were so diligent about the designs, proportions. We went through so many iterations to be able to make these characters so perfect in their form. And I'm just so happy that fans are happy as well.
Uh, so I know you don't want to spoil anything. There's probably not a lot you can talk about right now. But since you have brought the franchise back, a lot of those original games did feature like some real life athletes, and then when you re-release them, you also were able to get a lot of them licensed to be in the re-releases. Have there been any current athletes reach out to you and be like, "Hey, if y'all ever make a new game, I want to be in it"?
I have had so many athletes reach out to ask that question, and across all different sports, like games that we have never even had in the backyard universe are like, well, if you make a, backyard lacrosse, I hope that I could be in it. Or like, if you make a backyard tennis, I hope that I could be in it. So it's just like an incredible thing of this brand reached so many different millennial athletes back in the 90s and early 2000s, and now they're stars in their rightful fields. And so, yeah, I've had so many athletes reach out, and I think that part of the excitement is having this be a universe that you know people can really live in, and fans can really live in a way that they've never done before. And so I would not be surprised if there are athletes that become a part of the backyard universe in some way or another, whether that's in in as unlockables or DLC or part of the game. I think there's a whole lot of different ways that athletes will be able to appear. But I also want to say it is not just about somebody being an athlete. I think it's the backyard brand goes way beyond just sports figures. If you're, comedy forward or, I think there's room for a lot of people in the backyard. I think there's really room for everyone. And so they have to feel backyard. They have to feel like they could be a cartoon character and fit in this universe.
So one final question for you. If you could take Pablo Sanchez, the greatest baseball player of all time, without question.
Greatest athlete, just to correct you, greatest athlete
Yes,
of all time.
the GOAT, unquestioned GOAT. If you could take him and drop him onto any MLB team going into this season, which would you most like to see him play for, and where do you think he would have like the biggest impact?
That's the easiest answer, and I'm literally wearing it on my chest. It's going to be the Chicago Cubs. He's going to be bringing
Nice.
our team. I'm a Chicago fan, if you couldn't hear from my accent. And I would love for my home team to win, but Pablo is unfortunately he's too expensive for any of these teams to afford. They it would not make baseball fair for teams, so
Hmm.
he'll just be doing ballpark tours right now. He actually will be making appearances as a mascot at many stadiums this summer for theme takeovers.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congratulations on your animated special, the new trailer, the new game coming out this year. And I just want to say, as a fan of backyard sports, thank you so much for everything you've done for this franchise and for taking such good care of it. And, there aren't a lot of CEOs within the gaming industry like you. It's good to see that this brand is in good hands.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the original fans who have come back and now can play again and share this beautiful brand with more people. It really means a lot to us, and I think as much as we're doing to make great games and great content, we need the help of everybody, and articles and reviews and all of that really help us to get the word out that of the spirit of the backyard. So we're really appreciative too.
Well, that's going to do it for this video, y'all. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all of our future backyard sports content that we'll have coming out. And for all your sports gaming news and updates, stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.